The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Alrighty, Taj, what's going on?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I can't see myself, Taj. What are we doing here? Here we go. Here we go. So just waiting on to go live for this advisory by the minister, the Honorable Minister Alexa Lightbourne, on JPMP, folks. So give us a few. And after we hear her statement, Taj and myself will be discussing the topic of the day. So bear with us as we go through this with the Honorable Minister. But thank you all for joining us. And if you haven't already, please share the link, whatever platform you're tuned in on. Share the link if your family, friends, colleagues. This is a very important topic of discussion that we are looking to discuss with the minister on the Daily Hour Live.
Region and across the world. My name is Alexa Lightbourne, Minister of Home Affairs. Today I speak to you not only as a minister, but as a Bermudian, about a moment that asks us to reflect on who we are and how we will choose to shape our future. Today we begin a national discussion that many of us have been asking for, not about something new, but about something that has always been true. Almost 23 years ago, former Premier Dame Jennifer Smith brought a historic motion to the floor of the House of Assembly, one that set Bermuda on a path to CARICOM associate membership. We now advance that journey. Today, we share our green paper about Bermuda's path to full CARICOM membership, the story of us. Our aim is to ignite the discussion and put us in the driver's seat and to restore conscious thought about bonds a history could not break. These bonds speak to centuries of connection. For more than 300 years, Bermudian vessels sailed the Caribbean Sea. From the 1670s, our sailors worked the salt pans of the Turks Island. Our shipwrights built some of the fastest sloops in the Atlantic, and our families put down roots from Grand Turk to Kingston. We know the names, but do we even know the connections? The Basdens, the Talbots, the Tatums, the Smiths, the Friths. These names echo across both Bermuda and Turks Island to this day, all a living testament to the connection that no policy could create and no distance could sever. This is a story of us. We have heard the public discourse, and we have heard your questions. So what does full membership mean? What does it practically and concretely mean for Bermudians? What are the benefits? It means moving from the margins of regional decision-making to the center. It means having a voice and a vote on issues that already affect Bermudian lives: food security, health preparedness, climate resilience, digital policy, education, youth, and entrepreneurship. For small island states, connectivity builds power. Unity is protection. It is the ability to pool capacity, share risk, protect common purpose in a world that too often has overlooked us. Full membership means more doors for Bermudians to walk through, more hands to work alongside, more opportunities to turn shared identity into shared progress. There are opportunities for workers, students, seniors, entrepreneurs, artists. We recognize as a government that we must be honest, both about our roots and our role. We have been told that standing with our Caribbean family threatens our other relationships. History tells us a different story. We must lift up the shared heritage that links St. George's to Bridgetown Hamilton to Port of Spain, and Somerset to Kingston. We must examine the stories that were written to keep us apart and ask, who benefited from that division? Division has kept us small. Connection truly makes us strong. Allow me to be clear about what full membership does not change. Bermuda will retain its constitution. Our immigration policies will remain unchanged. We will also maintain our existing relationships with the United Kingdom and the United States. What changes is our standing, our influence, our ability to shape conversations that shape our future. Today, continuing with the consultation already begun, we launch public consultation on CARICOM membership. You are invited to share your thoughts. We are consulting workers and businesses and unions, educators, civil society, and young people. We will present the implications, the costs, and the benefits of full membership openly and honestly. The green paper has now been published. It is available at togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. You will find answers to your questions and a foundation to think about reclaiming our role in our future. Bermuda, you are invited to find your place in this story. Bring your hopes, bring your skepticisms, bring your solutions. The future that we build will reflect the care that we gave in this moment. The question before us is not whether change will come. We know that change is inevitable. But the real question is, how will Bermuda choose to define itself in the face of that change? Will we continue to stand apart, or will we step fully into our regional family and shape our future together? I invite you to visit togetherforcaricom.gov.bm, read the green paper, talk to your neighbors, your family, your colleagues, because we know that belonging is not a tether that binds us. It is a bridge that we choose, the strength that we share, and the home that we will build together. Thank you.
All righty, Taj. We've definitely, this is a conversation that's been going on for some time. And I just want to, sorry about that, folks. I just want to go over a few things. If you're just rocking with us, you can find the CARICOM green paper outlining Bermuda's full CARICOM membership is now available on togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. The website really does tell a story of Bermuda's connection with the Caribbean, encourages public feedback through short surveys and weekly polls, and will include dates for public information sessions and consultations, which I think is important. No more speculation. There's been a significant commentary, and we've spoken about it on the Daily Hour. We've seen people in the news and people in private conversations commenting about CARICOM membership, especially, Michael Fay has been very vocal about it. Now, there's a green paper available so Bermudians can review the information and facts on their own. The green paper ensures people have accurate information before forming their views or accepting the views of others. It is a national conversation that's grounded in facts that are being presented to us. This consultation is structured, it's transparent, and based on presenting the answers to public questions and scrutiny and implications clearly. It does touch on something that's been a big topic of conversation, which is the immigration policies about, freedom of movement. It speaks to that being unchanged. The goal is to, is informed dialogue, right? No assumptions or misinformation. Now, people have spoken about Bermuda's existing relationship with CARICOM, which we've been an associate member since 2003. For over 2 decades, we've participated in regional cooperation across multiple areas. The question now is whether Bermuda should move from an associate to full membership. Mm-hmm. Green paper speaks to that, the benefits. The story of us. Look, Bermuda's history, as you heard from Minister Alexa Lightbourne, from migration to trade to family ties, it's long, it's deep. Understanding those connections helps us understand our future, and also it helps shape the region. This is a national conversation that everyone needs to be involved in about our identity.
Yeah.
And having a seat at a table amongst many who we consider family. Shared history and cultural connections. Bermuda shares such a deep historical and cultural link with so many throughout the Caribbean through centuries of movement, exchange, and family connections. Our music, food waves, our traditions. As I was reading the green paper and different variations of gumbies to Jonkanoos, these connections are what makes this conversation meaningful, right? And it's a conversation beyond politics. And that, to me, is one of the most important things about this. It's about our, like, Bermuda's place, not just in the region, but in the world. It touches on culture and history and economics and cooperation between small island states. Every Bermudian has a stake in this discussion. And that's what I want to highlight. Like, we have to ensure that we are a part of the discussion. Ask the questions. Strengthening our voice, key points, division, as the minister said. So many people in Bermuda have roots. I was reading about the late bishop this morning, Mr. Duncan, who recently passed away, and I didn't know he had Jamaican parents. But in Bermuda, we were taught that those who came from other island destinations were jump ups. They're this, they're that. That division is what we're speaking about. It kept us small. But here's the important stuff, what's not changing. Bermuda will retain its constitution. The immigration policies, which have been a big topic of discussion, will not change. And Bermuda will maintain existing relationships with the United States and United Kingdom. Public participation. Folks, please read it, because no decision will be made without your input. Bermudians, I encourage you to read the green paper, attend the consultations, and share your views, because the future path forward will reflect the feedback during this process. So I encourage you, without emotion, to engage this entire conversation and be a part of it. Read the green paper. Taj, I'm sure you have a lot to say having the green paper. But audience, let us know how you're feeling. Let us know, are you interested in being a part of the conversation, the consultation? And feel free to let us know your thoughts on CARICOM. Taj, what are you thinking?
I think this was a great document. I think it was very comprehensive, very explanatory, very simple to understand, very easy to access. And I think that's crucial for a topic of this significance for our community. I really enjoy the focus on our historical and cultural ties to the region, because I think that is the crux of the moral argument for CARICOM. And I know there will be many, probably including Michael Fay and others of the OBA and other objectors or people who are unsure about CARICOM, who would say that there's not a significant focus on quantitative benefits. Like what is the actual financial annual benefit from us joining CARICOM? There's the stated fees, but there isn't necessarily that total quantitative picture of our benefits. But I think this is an important step to showing the cultural and historical relationships, because I think that is unquantifiable and very important, not only for our own identity as a people, but also for where we want to go. Where the PLP perhaps wants to take us via independence or sovereignty or whatever may come next. But I definitely think this was a good start in getting the conversation started. I hope that some of these items in here make it into education, because I think if we got that information during our school years, the conversation would look differently, I think, on the island.
I agree, Taj. And just real quickly, if you have any questions or want to join the conversation, you can write below. We've got Mark Arthur says, good afternoon, gentlemen. I will be honest, I have not read the green paper as of yet, but I am sure some of the questions I have will be answered. Well, it was just made available as we came live. So for those who are just rocking with us, it's called You can see it in the comments if you're on our website or if you're on our YouTube page. It's together. All right. It's together for CARICOM.gov.bm. All right. I'd encourage you to check it out, take your time reading it, and write some questions down. Write some questions down. I was saying to Taj before we came live, one of the things that I appreciate about reading the green paper is it helps to address some of the problems that Bermuda's facing: cost of living, food, right? And you may say, well, how could that help with cost of living and food? I only really started reading about Guyana about 2 years ago. And one of the things that I saw about Guyana, I was like, no way this is true. They are one of very few countries in the world that have more than enough food.
Mm-hmm.
Guyana is a part of CARICOM. For me, we have to evolve and meet today's challenges differently. Guyana also has a lot of oil.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is what I'm looking at as far as the positives. Now, Taj, one of the things that I mentioned earlier that people are so concerned about is the freedom of movement. Bahamas, full member, doesn't have freedom of movement.
Most states don't. Only 4, I think, have the freedom of movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened late last year. It was Barbados, St. Vincent, Belize, and Grenada, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time the full freedom of movement agreement was made between those 4 states. So freedom of movement hasn't been the central focus of CARICOM, I would say, for a while. I always kind of knew that we would be protected, so to speak, from the freedom of movement piece, because I don't think the UK would go for that. And I think they make it very clear in their entrustment letter, which is summarized in the green paper as well, that this would be of serious interest to them, because they're worried about how it would affect British nationality. Because if CARICOM nationals come to Bermuda, live here, get PRC status, and get citizenship, does that later mean that they can go to the UK now and get British citizenship? So I think the UK would have serious concerns there that would stop us ultimately from being able to agree to any freedom of movement.
Yeah, indeed. Taj, let me just go over some more points before you go at anything else. I just want to let people know this is a special segment in conjunction with the Ministry of Home Affairs. At the beginning, you may have seen a video of the Honorable Minister Alexa Lightbourne, JPMP, sharing that the government has indeed released a green paper for our review and our feedback today. So what is the green paper about? The document is a public consultation on whether Bermuda should move from an associate member to full member of CARICOM, the Caribbean community of 15 countries and territories. Bermuda, for those who don't know, has been an associate member since 2003, but the government says full membership would give the island a stronger voice in regional decisions affecting trade, healthcare, climate, and economic policy. But let me stop there real quickly before going into a few key points. I think Taj mentioned earlier, if you read it, it's actually a very transparent document.
Yes.
They said, yeah, it's likely going to cost us more. Well, it will cost us more.
Yes.
Right, to the tune of, was it 2 million? I remember.
Yeah, 2 million something from 200,000, so about 100% increase.
So they did share that it will cost more. It's very transparent. Unfortunately, Teray says the connection to the document isn't secure, so I'm locked out and can't read. Sad reactions only. Teray, we'll get it to you ASAP. Taj and I will ensure that you get it ASAP because you definitely you will have it. Trust me, you will have it. We'll ensure that you have it. But thank you for sharing that. But again, audience, if anyone else is having trouble, please check it out. But it's together for CARICOM.bm.
Yeah.
Taj, just want to share a few more points because I know you have a lot more to say, but just want to go some key things that Bermudians should know. CARICOM is not a political union.
Yes.
This paper stresses that joining does not mean losing control of government policy. Each member state keeps its own government and laws. Bermuda would still control immigration, domestic policy, labor laws, regulation of industries like financial services. Yes, as just mentioned with Taj, there will be a cost. Full membership would require Bermuda to contribute just over $2 million annually to CARICOM programs. According to the government, that's only about 0.16% of Bermuda's annual budget and should be viewed as a strategic investment. All right. Now, the goal is to help reduce the cost of living. We've had these conversations over and over and over. CARICOM countries are working together on regional food production, shared supply chains, regional shipping, collective trade negotiations. The idea is that Bermuda could diversify imports beyond the United States. This is long overdue. Potential business opportunities. Membership would give Bermudian businesses access to an 18 million person Caribbean market. This could benefit sectors such as insurance, fintech, professional services, tourism, but also those local stores, right? Whether it's a grocery chain or a pharmacy or, smaller business, you can branch out. That's a big opportunity. Cooperation on shared problems. One of the things this paper argues is many of us face similar challenges. Climate change, Taj, cost of living, healthcare, workforce shortages. Working together could help the island share solutions.
Yes.
Climate and disaster resilience. Full membership could give Bermuda greater access to regional initiatives like climate finance, disaster insurance, early warning systems. We've spoken about immigration enough. That's not a concern. But they did address it that if Bermuda needs people, then yeah, they'll look to CARICOM first, accountants, and so on. Now, there are potential concerns. The economic competition. Some worry regional businesses or workers could compete with Bermudians. Political identity, being closer with the Caribbean over the UK, US, and Europe. And one of the things that you constantly see is maintaining Bermuda's regulatory standards is considered essential. Financial services. I'm not going to call any business names, folks, but there are quite a few businesses in Bermuda, insurance companies, bank, hotels, that have been branching out in the region for years. So it's kind of interesting that it's of great concern now, these kind of things. I said it months ago, Taj, that I was for CARICOM for many reasons. I have reservations like anything. But that green paper gave me confidence. What we don't understand is Bermuda is still a British territory. So there are a lot of things the government was transparent about that we can't do anyway. Take it away, Taj. I'm sorry, I'm being blabbing.
Yeah, picking up on that point, I think one concern that a lot of people might have is around the geopolitical aspect of CARICOM and what that means, especially given kind of the division that's going on in CARICOM at the moment with Trinidad and Guyana and the US and Barbados and some other states being not so on board with that. I definitely think it presents an interesting challenge, and the UK is going to step in, and I guess that's where my real concern lies, is what is the UK's positionality on these issues? Because as the entrustment letter notes, Bermuda will not be able to make any decisions on external affairs, security, or geo kind of politics without prior approval by the UK or without the UK's involvement. And so I wonder if CARICOM members themselves, because remember, getting Bermuda's approval is only one step. The government then has to go and seek ratification and approval from the current members of CARICOM. And so will the current members of CARICOM be open to having Bermuda in there, given the UK's positionality of Bermuda, and will the UK exert its influence over CARICOM or try to get into CARICOM, especially since Bermuda isn't the only OT considering this? You have Turks and Caicos and BVI also to expand into CARICOM. So I wonder what that would look like, and I definitely think that is going to be, that's one of the biggest risks, I think, with this project, is trying to manage the UK relationship, and how we can show up in that space. But yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, a lot of the concerns are very clearly addressed in this document, and I know the government will continue to publish shorter versions, fact sheets, and do campaigns around it. But yeah, I thought this was a great start. Yeah.
I just think that people need to be a part of the conversation. We had Jeremy Deacon on, a journalist and a podcaster, and he was speaking about, just journalism today. And I believe that we're in a dangerous space because people can just write anything on social media and it be believed. Just look at the comments when we speak about CARICOM, what some people say. People don't hide it. And again, in Bermuda, we were taught to look down on our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. And I'm actually very confused by the fact that people still feel that way in 2026.
Yeah.
Especially considering we love the music from these countries. We love the food from these countries, but we don't seem to love the people. Yeah. And we are of them. So I feel like even on an emotional level, the green paper touches that.
Yes, I agree.
Touches that. And I've said, recently on the show, some things I think the government just needs to do. But I'm actually very happy that they're taking this process. They're taking this road. They're taking this route to educate, inform, and engage. And I want to highlight that. They are taking the opportunity to educate, inform, and engage. Audience, let us know if you've been able to access Together for CARICOM.gov.bm. Let us know. Now, one of the things that stood out also is, for years, the Bermuda Regiment have gone down to various islands to assist after hurricanes.
Yes.
For years. That's the strength then in the relationship. Now, obviously, Bermuda still being a territory of Britain, external affairs, they were very clear. That will remain the responsibility of the United Kingdom. It will. But I know there are people who are thinking this, Taj, and we can discuss it if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it.
They feel, oh, this is just a step toward independence. That's why I don't want it. And I saw a comment this weekend. Someone wrote something in the Gazette. It was an op-ed. I don't know if you read it, but it was a person. They always, again, this is stuff people were saying 20, 30, 40 years ago. End up like Jamaica.
Yes.
Do people not understand in 2026 that's literally considered racism?
It's racism. It's a proliferation of colonial narratives. It's like, and that's why I mentioned the education piece, because I think that's what I appreciate most about this is it's taken the time to walk through the connections for everyone, and not just for Black Bermudians, but for white Bermudians and all Bermudians as well, because it's a shared history. Black history, whatever history, Caribbean history is a shared history of white people, Black people, and everyone that has lived in the region, indigenous folks in Dominica and some other islands, etc. So it's not just Black for Black people like that. And I think that's what is holding a lot of white Bermudians up on this, is that they think it's just something tailored to the PLP's base, which is Black Bermudians. And I'm here to tell you that's definitely not the case, based on the document, but also based on what I know, what Jamal knows, what other people know about the benefits of joining CARICOM, or not just CARICOM, but regional unity in general, right? Like, it's very important as small islands to come together on collective issues where we may not be getting the support from the UK. A perfect example of that is gang violence. The gang violence in Bermuda is very similar to that of the other overseas territories and some of the Caribbean islands. Wouldn't it be beneficial for us to work with them? I don't know. So yes, it would be, is my point. So it's like this is a step towards solutions to our current problems.
Mhm.
Is it positioning us to be in a better position to pursue independence? Yes, of course it is, because it's making sure that we have relationships that can carry us beyond our status of a British overseas territory. And to be clear, CARICOM isn't the first relationship Bermuda has like that. So Bermuda has a EU office. So we have bilateral relationships with the European Union. We have relationships with the US, with Canada, etc. And so the fact that people take issue with CARICOM but not those relationships makes it very clear what the motive and intention is, especially when I heard it coming from the opposition, because they are they've been pro immigration and pro getting people to Bermuda. But when it comes to CARICOM, it's now, oh no, we can't have Caribbean people in Bermuda. Well, it's going to affect take jobs from Bermudians, etc., etc. But that was not the concern when we were talking about giving expats PRC status that are from Canada, the UK, and other places. So I think this double standard, like a glove has to be a glove if you turn it inside out or not. So if you're pro-immigration, then you have to be pro-immigration of all people to Bermuda. If you're not pro-immigration, then fine. But if you're gonna say that we need more people, the place to get more people is where we share history, where we share cultural identity, not with the global north.
Taj is hitting her runs. I'm just, hey, he's hitting it. But let's be real. You just say what it is. If you're pro-immigration, you're pro-immigration.
Right.
But if you're only pro-immigration depending on what people look like, then are you really pro-immigration?
You're racist.
You know, there's a president that referred to certain countries as asshole countries, right? And said, why can't we get more people from, was it Norway and Sweden? Something like that. And I feel like, at least, I know a lot of people don't like, or someone just said it too, sounds like Trump and the asshole country. But, you know, I know you all, most people who tune in the show don't like President Trump, but I've said from the beginning, one thing I appreciate about him is he says the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
And what I think Taj literally just challenged you all to do is say the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
Say the quiet part out loud. You won't. But we hear you and we feel you. And I'm not saying everyone who disagrees with CARICOM feels that way. Let me be very clear. But when you start to speak in the manner you do and use the language that you do, yeah. Let's go to the comments real quickly, see what the audience is saying. Teray T says, I don't have access to the paper yet, but the way the minister has approached CARICOM is consultative and informed. This is what happens when women govern, statistically better legislators. I mean, I would agree if we're not for women in the United States, because I tell you, look at those stats in the United States. They may be a bit different from Sarah Palin to many more. Trust me. Let's not do the statistics and women thing on this International Women's Day after yesterday. But her point is, and I want to touch on her point, take it further. I think the greatest leader, world leader today, is Mia Moore Motley. To be able to work closer with the likes of her is a major plus.
Yes.
It's a major plus. I think that, I mean, she's dominated elections down there. That says it, you know, all you need to know about how people may feel at home about her, even though they suffered low turnout. It's still dominant, right? The bottom line result is she's still the leader. That said, she's shown that she is not afraid to have any conversation, regardless of who the conversation's with.
Yes.
He has taken on world leaders, media figures. To me, that is a major plus for us. That's a major plus. I want to go through a few things. And I wish Teray was available to be on this, because I think that once she reads it, hopefully Taj and her will have their own episode on the Daily Hour to discuss this, because I think that it's very necessary to hear from them. And I'm not saying that people myself and Oda don't matter, but this is going to be their country, folks. And I'm not saying it's not going to be ours, but they're going to be the leaders. They're the ones who really will be making legislation and policies, whether they choose politics or not. Let's go through these few right here, Taj. We've got Traveling Trotty, says, this is not my experience. It seems to me people do love our cousins to the south. They have had a significant impact on our country's development. But Phil Trott says, I would disagree. I definitely heard disparaging comments about our Caribbean cousins, and very casually too. I still hear them.
Yes.
Absolutely. I still hear them.
If you talk about people from Africa.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like, that's remove it from the Caribbean. It's even worse when you go to Africa. And that's a problem of the world. And we need to stop, I think, pretending as if we are a global north superpower. Like, we act like we're a colonial entity, and really we're a product of colonization, not a colonial like a colonial hegemon. And so when I hear Bermudians talk about Africans coming to Bermuda to work and Caribbean people coming to Bermuda to work, it's not positive. Like, yeah. So I think we need to seriously reevaluate that, because undeniably this will also take us towards closer steps to Africa as well, which is huge. Because Africa has, like, I think 1/4 by 2030, 1/4 of all children will be born in Nigeria. So, like, Africa has the population and the resources to support the rest of the Black former colonists, whatever you call it, and the global South in general. So I think that is only a strength to me. And those economies are growing. Ours is pretty consistent and stagnant, I would say, where those economies are growing GDP exponentially, the Caribbean and across Africa.
Yeah. Taj, I want to just encourage people, if you have, let us know in the audience, have you been able to access it? I know Teray says she hasn't. Let us know, and we'll speak with the ministry ASAP to see if there's anything we can do. But Philip corrects me. He says, the Honorable Miss Mia Amor Motley, SCMP. You are absolutely correct, Phil. You are absolutely correct. My apologies to the Honorable Madam Motley. The site is up on my end, says Mark Arthur. Again, the site, just for those who may just be tuning in, it is togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. STW, I believe that's Shamar. Okay. I'm not like Taj. Taj knows who everybody is. I'm a guess. With the way the world is shaping out, it is unwise to put all our eggs in the Western basket. Speak to that.
So what Shamari is saying is the way in which the U.S. has become decentered in a way because of the actions of the current president and administration, has become decentered kind of in conversations of trade, future security, development, because the U.S. has kind of removed itself from this conversation and wants to act unilaterally. And then you have someone, a partner that is unstable, and that's what Canada is reacting to. I think Canada is a perfect example. Canada is one of the largest trading partner for Canada is the US. However, it's not reliable under Trump. Every week there's a new tariff. The tariff is removed. This causes damage to the global economy. And so it's not reliable, like Shamar is saying, to put all our resources and hopes and dreams and aspirations in the hopes of the United States or the UK, which are not growing. Like, you know what I mean? They're not the future, I would say. I would say the future is the global South, as you see with the BRICS alliance and with many other things that are happening with CARICOM and the African Union.
Okay. So Taj, let's do something. So I've brought up, hopefully people can see it on screen. And it's very small, so my apologies, folks, if you can't see it. Let's try to make it a bit bigger for you. So just a quick glance for people who don't know who some of the full members are. Now, the only British overseas territory that is a full member is Montserrat.
Yes.
And they never really signed the revised treaty as it states here. So it's considered a protocol member, and you can read about that here. And then the associate members are mainly territories of British overseas territories, except for Curacao and Martinique. Anything you want to say about this list, Taj, that Bermudians should know, you feel?
I mean, I think it's interesting that everyone seems to want to know how Montserrat got in there. It's a very peculiar question that no one seems to really know how they got permission to join from the UK, but they did anyway. There's nothing. The Caribbean, CARICOM, or most of the Caribbean independent nations are members. The associate member list is growing. I think Curacao and Martinique just became members last year, associate members last year or the year before. And so there is, and those are both territories as well, Curacao Dutch, I think, and Martinique being French. And so they have also had to pursue some kind of agreement with their mother country, so to speak, to join. It's nothing really to note about the countries.
Okay. The other thing, I wanted to go to this page, Tosh. This speaks to the free movement of skilled persons.
Yes.
As well as the freedom of goods, freedom of movement of services, freedom of capital, and right of establishment. This is the big part of right here, where the government says where positions remain unfilled by Bermudians, the government intends to develop an awareness channel through the CARICOM that connects qualified Caribbean professionals with opportunities such as, and it names, some professions.
Yes.
Anything you want to add to that? And audience, feel free to let us know.
I think this is great. I think the way how the government has worded it is great, with the "we are protected," making it very clear kind of what their positions are. I like I said earlier, I think it'll be interesting to see how the other CARICOM members react to this, because they're undoubtedly watching and are very curious as well. So I would love to see how they feel about what our government is reserving from, because part of the treaty process is to declare reservations, so areas of the treaty are not going to be beholden to, it's listed as one of the risks, but the CARICOM members may not accept these exceptions to the rules, because Bermuda's asking for quite a lot of exceptions, because we're asking for exceptions on immigration, we're asking for exceptions on our economy, we're asking for exceptions on our voting procedures at the UK. So this, like I said, this is step one. Like, this is not the time to be concerned. I think more information will become clear quantitatively and what exactly we know as the government continues through the process. But that's the only way that's the only way you can get the proper budget, the cost of membership, is you have to go through kind of the ascension process. And a white paper will come, which should have more information, I presume, more quantitative data. Yeah.
I want to go through this as well, Tosh. I want to go through, in 2 seconds. There was another page that stood out to me right here. And it shows that what connects Bermuda to CARICOM. I think this page is very important. Number 1, economic challenges. 2, climate reality, as mentioned earlier. And 3, unique geography as large ocean states. I think there are so many who forever we've been taught, oh, we're not a part of the Caribbean. Well, regionally, like geographically, that may not be true. But as an island that sits out in the Atlantic by itself, we kind of do have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Also, what a lot of people don't realize, technically, Bahamas isn't in the Caribbean. Atlantic.
Caribbean Sea. Neither is Barbados, actually. Barbados is not located in the Caribbean Sea either. It's
Turks and Caicos borderline geographically may not be in the Caribbean. So I think that argument doesn't hold weight, right? I just think that people need to ensure they're part of the conversation.
Yes.
I just, if nothing else from what we're just discussing today, the minister has opened a door wide open for all of us to be a part of the conversation. If you are not part of the conversation and this goes through and you are unhappy about it, that's on you. So I would encourage people, read the green paper.
I would encourage people who, even if you don't agree, I think putting that perspective in there is useful. And if you don't agree, what else should we do? What is another method the government could go about to kind of reap the same benefits? Like, we need to hear how Bermudians feel about this, because this is not a permanent decision, but it's definitely a long-term decision that affects all of us, our future, and even perhaps our status as a nation, country, territory. And so I think this is something everyone should definitely participate in, for sure. Like, please, get involved in any way you can, from young people to seniors.
Yeah, I agree, Taj. Taj, we're going to have the Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, coming on tomorrow. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I'll have questions. And one of the questions that have come through here, which maybe the minister may be able to answer, is WKD Lama asking, how valuable is membership if it allows the U.S. to bully other members?
I think that's one of the questions. I think CARICOM is not, the CARICOM Secretariat in and of itself is not necessarily the strongest, I would say. And so the CARICOM Secretariat needs to build up its capacity. But where does the CARICOM Secretariat get its money from? It gets its money from member state contributions. So in order for CARICOM to build its capacity, be stronger, be unified, have more binding agreements, because a lot of the agreements CARICOM has are not binding, the U.S. wouldn't be able to bully so well. And remember, the U.S. is not necessarily bullying. Trinidad and Guyana are willing co-conspirators in the U.S.'s agenda in the region. And I think Cuba is a particular country we need to watch as this unfolds, because will CARICOM be weaponized against Cuba? I hope not.
Well,
that
I mean,
devastating for the
though
region.
Cuba is not a member of CARICOM, they're the largest island in the Caribbean, and Jamaica has already, discontinued their program as far as the doctors with Cuba. But again, Taj's point, like, how is Bermuda going to respond? And is this where the UK says, nope, you cannot? Like, these are valid questions, and hopefully the minister can discuss that with us tomorrow. I think, it's like the Minister of Tourism, transport, tourism, transport, culture, and sport, and Darrell. I disagree with Minister Darrell about a lot of things that happen with tourism, but I agree with the long overdue legislation that was tabled about rideshare. The Minister of Home Affairs, the Honorable Alexa Lightbourne, I think this is like that, long overdue, to at least try to educate and inform. If you know one of my complaints about independence with Bermuda, one of my biggest complaints, folks, and I say it on ongoing basis, I pretty much share this, is that we have not done enough to inform and educate the public to even want to consider it. And I feel like CARICOM, we're actually doing that. It's really on us, each and every one of us, what we do with the opportunity. Because if we sit back, do nothing, and just go on the blogs and write and complain or social media, then whatever comes next, that's on each and every one of us. And I want to congratulate the minister on this. She's new to politics. This is a controversial piece, policy or legislation. It's a controversial document that she's taken on. And it's one of those things, Taj, where you're going to find out who people really are.
Yes.
You are going to find out who people really are. And again, let me be clear. I'm not saying anyone who disagrees with CARICOM is racist. I am not saying that. What I'm simply saying is, if everyone took the time to digest what Taj has been able to read, what I've been able to read, I think we may actually see more positives than negatives.
Mm-hmm.
Neither Taj nor I have said to you that this document's perfect. None of us have said there aren't some things that we need answers to.
Mm-hmm.
What we have done is address some of the things that have concerned people. It's a lot to read, and I truly hope that people take it on. Taj, anything else you'd like to add that you believe people should know from this document, the green paper?
I say read it. I want to echo your statement of commending the minister. I think the government is doing a lot of things that are long overdue, whether you disagree with them or not. They're doing something for the first time in a while, especially at this pace and rate. I think that's definitely worth commending, especially with ministers that are fresh and new to the House and politics in general. I say read it. I mean, it's very clearly laid out. There's great tables. I would say try to keep the future in mind as you're reading. Yes, I know people want to think about the short-term gains. How is the average Bermudian going to benefit tomorrow if we join CARICOM today? But I think that's not the way to think about this. The way to think about this is, how is the world developing? How is the world growing? Where do we want to place our position in a growing and changing world? Is it with CARICOM? Is it as an isolated state in the middle of the North Atlantic that's vulnerable to U.S. attacks or U.S. bullying, as people have called it here? Or do we want to be part of a regional union that offers some strength? Even though it's not that much strength, it's some strength, which is better than none. So I think that's how I would encourage people to think about it, and engage with your children and young people about how they feel about it, because it's a future, and it's about, and this is opportunities for young Bermudians. Like, I know that's probably not a positive that the ministry wants to highlight, but Bermudians live in the Caribbean as well, have left Bermuda to move to the Caribbean for cost of living, for the same reasons they've moved other places. And so this will also open doors for them to go to the University of the West Indies, to pursue further education and job opportunities that are not available here. Like, let's not think of it as a one-way relationship where, oh, we're coming into CARICOM and there's nothing for us.
That's the arrogance of us. Culturally, that's cultural arrogance to believe we have more than them. And as I said to someone earlier, Bermuda is a mature jurisdiction, meaning we don't have land and access to grow our own food and build and so on. Who's to say that this can't help people actually own a home that never will have the opportunity in Bermuda?
Right.
But also live between two destinations. It's possible. I wanted this is a question that maybe the minister can answer tomorrow as well. Cameron Fox says, what good examples can we look at in the Caribbean that is an act to follow to better our gang violence? Well, I think the Commissioner of Police spoke at a conference earlier this year, or last year, early last year, about Jamaica's reduction in crime.
Yes, Jamaica, Barbados, a lot of those islands have seen huge reductions in crime over the last couple of years. So I wouldn't say just because of how you know them and how you picture them in your mind that they don't have nothing to teach us. And I think that's like the crux of this issue. Like, I think really is that thinking that we are better, that we know more, that we're more experienced, we have more resources, etc. And that's just not true. Like, on the global stage, we're insignificant because we're not a legal jurisdiction. So we have no real position internationally. So to tie ourselves to people who do have power, even if there's like Mia Motley where the power is perhaps more symbolic, it's still useful.
Yeah. I want to just touch on this. Mari says they are bullying countries, Cuban doctors, visas. And then Phil says, just because Trinidad is willingly collaborating with the U.S., I would still say it's bullying. Power dynamics play a very large role when it comes to bullying and consent. And maybe the minister, again, I don't think, and I think they were clear about the UK, I don't think that Bermuda would be able to get involved per se in stuff like that, because it would be considered an external affair. Which I
have arrangements with the US outside of CARICOM that have been outside of the UK even as well. So,
I don't think, I felt satisfied after reading the Green Paper that our relationships with the United States and the United Kingdom and Canada and Europe will not be impacted as long as we get what we want. But as Todd said, we're asking for a lot. They may say, well, no, like, why do they get to do this?
Exactly.
I do like what I read, that things are decisions are made dependent on a country's size, their contribution, and so on. It's a lot, folks. Honestly, I want to encourage you one more time. Please go to togetherforcaricom.gov.bm. Read it for yourself. You have access to this information. Don't let anyone else tell you what to do, what to think. go do it for yourself.
Yeah, and it's easy read. It's got tables, it's got graphics, it's got images, so it's not a dense document. It is long because it needs to be long because there's a lot to cover, but it's digestible, I think, for sure. So.
And they don't use big words like Tosh, okay? No, seriously, it's an easy read, folks. Honestly, it's really an easy read. Anyone can read it. A lot of it is repetitive to drive home the points.
Yes.
So you're going to read something like, oh, did I just read it? Yes, to drive home the points. Again, we're going to have the Honorable Minister on tomorrow morning live with Taj and myself. She'll be here to answer any questions, to speak about what this could mean for Bermuda, and just speak about the process with the green paper. Taj, I'm looking forward to the conversation tomorrow. Like I said, I commend the minister for moving this forward despite the rhetoric. That's what I'm going to share it as, rhetoric, and the fear-mongering that is put out there. And I'm going to be vulnerable and share something with you folks. I never wanted to visit Jamaica, for instance. Had no interest. Because I was like, I'm from an island. Why do I need to see another one? 2001, my mother, my nana, and my sister went to a family reunion in St. Kitts. First year coming back to Bermuda from college. I want to be with my boys. I don't want to go to no St. Kitts. You know, that kind of immaturity existed at 19 and 20. As a 44-year-old, I must say, my goal is to ensure that young people coming behind me, my family, nieces, nephew, they understand the importance of that connection.
Yes.
That my family tried to instill in me, but I ignored. And I think there are adults, people older than me, who still feel like how I felt back then.
100%.
Each of these islands are very unique, but yet so similar. And it's that the shared similarities that we can utilize to empower one another as we strive to give the people of each jurisdiction the best opportunity to live good, healthy, and successful lives. One more time, I commend the minister and the government for moving forward with this. And we look forward to engaging with Minister Lightbourne tomorrow morning. Tosh, until tomorrow morning.
Until tomorrow.
Later, everyone. Have a great one. Talk soon.